Welcome to Let's Not Optimize This. It might get helpful, it might get weird. To get official, we're talking about website maintenance, um, but maybe a bit more about website maintenance that happens behind the scenes. I think we're kind of inspired to talk about it because there was something that came up where someone was just like, oh, it was a post I saw on LinkedIn. From the perspective of a freelancer, kind of like doing the rage baiting thing about like, don't go with an agency because agencies suck and they just push a button and they don't like do whatever. So like I think we've all agreed that like we have to say that we're a marketing and website agency, but um don't operate under like the, I don't know if it's stereotypical like agency culture maybe,
Yeah.
like a collective or a boutique or whatever, a group of individuals that don't hate what we do. I don't know. I just don't want to say. But I shouldn't say that because I know a lot of people probably love what they do and they work for a bigger agency. However, it's just like less corporate-y. We're not trying to find ways to cut corners and in that way. But that was why I thought about it and I brought it up. Um, it's more than just pushing buttons. Um, I think it was worth mentioning sort of like some of the tools that we do use to manage it. Um, because that's how you do keep the prices lower, right? You have to use automation, not the whole thing. But you also have to have a person on the other side going like, well, if I update all of these at the same time with a push of this button, um, somebody on our end can do it one with confidence saying like, okay, like this has been updated consistently, it's a newer website, it's probably not going to break, but still check it anyway just to make sure something didn't break, and if it does, then that person who's clicking said button is going through it, figuring out what happened, you know, reverting the site to troubleshoot it, or finding another version of a plugin that would work in its place if it's like just a bad plugin from a random third-party developer who hasn't updated something, but it seems like it's updated. Um I guess that was one of the points too. Uh
Yeah, I like when I talk to clients about maintenance, like what's involved, right? That's always a question. And yes, it's easy to click a button to update it, but we can teach you how to do that. Like it's just a button. Literally, you log into your WordPress updates, it shows you what needs to be updated. You click the buttons.
Yep.
The part that you need someone who knows what they're doing for is if things go wrong. Not if, but when, because it always happens at some point.
Eventually.
What to do when things go wrong is what you're paying your monthly maintenance for. So you've got someone fast and alert on the other end who can fix it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we also get alerts about vulnerabilities in plugins.
Mm-hmm.
When that pops up, we go and we look at, all right, which sites have it and get that updated right away. Or like Danielle was saying, for, if it's a plugin that is not being updated with this vulnerability, do we need to turn it off? Do we need to replace it? Because that's when, a hacker can get in and take over the website, is when you have these vulnerabilities. So we're also staying on top of that.
Yeah. Okay, so quick sidebar, because I feel like when I'm explaining this to someone, I know what I'm saying, but they don't know what I'm saying. So going back a little bit, when we get the vulnerability notifications, sometimes, let's say the client would log into their website and they would look at that same plugin that we got a notification for. They might see in the list, okay, this needs an update. Okay, so maybe updating it fixes the vulnerability because that means there's a patch for it. That means whoever created that plugin, which isn't us or even WordPress, it's somebody, a group of developers, a company, whatever, somebody who's created that plugin and put it into the repository, which anyone can click and, download and use. They take care of it. So because they're taking care of it, we can confidently go, okay, yeah, there's an update, it's showing, it's updated, great. And then other times when we get a notification about a vulnerability, and then we go on the website and we're like, that's the first thing you what I would kind of go to, okay, maybe there's an update for it. And then you look and there's nothing there. And then sometimes you'll go to the plugin description or the little landing page in the WordPress repository, and it'll say hey, we're working on a patch, or if it's on their website, they might have a change log, where it'll let you know, oh, we found this is happening for everyone and we'll update it. It's similar to what might happen with a hosting service, they'll let everybody know they're working on it, blah, blah, blah. But then the third thing is you go and you look and WordPress says okay, this plugin developer hasn't taken care of this plugin in let's say a year. There hasn't been any updates. There's been multiple vulnerabilities, and then they're just okay, they're canceled. And then they remove them from the repository. So those files will still stay on your site, but they're not going to get any updates, and WordPress isn't going to notify you about it. So it's there are tools that we use. It's that, we'll scan everything. And for, I think 99% of the time, we just identify something and it can be replaced with something similar, if it's a plugin that the website needs to function or something like that. But I think I've been talking for a while, but I think, does that make sense to you? A few different pieces. I think that's why it was so interesting. And I don't know why I got mad about it. I was like, we do more than click a button. I just want to tell people this,
Also, those automated tools are just the first line of defense. That's our ability to help a lot of people all at once. And then once we can find issues, then we drill down on a individual client basis to try to help them for whatever it is their website particularly needs.
Yeah.
And then there are other things that pop up too that I think kind of fall under this, where you remember when there was that big PHP update. We had to test all of our clients' websites, see who could make the upgrade safely, who required some additional, tweaks to the code. That is definitely not pushing a button. That was a whole bunch of work on our end to make sure that our clients could upgrade safely and stay on their hosting provider. And, I think we still occasionally have someone come to us with that issue, even right now, because some sites are still on the old PHP.
Yeah. And I think the older, what was interesting though, is that I had an assumption myself, the older the website, the worse it was going to be, which wasn't always the case. For the most part, it was I don't even want to say new. It was just websites that had a bunch of plugins that, or a theme, that weren't updated. So to me, it was just sort of a combination of what we just talked about, keeping the plugins updated and whatnot. And then also, in addition to that, the PHP was breaking because somebody actually was going into edit the theme or edit some kind of function or whatever in PHP. And an older version, it would, how can we find that? You have to go through all of that and identify where the issue is and whatever. And a typical client wouldn't be doing that or wouldn't even want to do that, or even try. So
yeah, they would have no clue where to even start.
Yeah.
That is not for your average person.
Yeah.
There's some other benefits that we include with our maintenance plans, like website uptime.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really important one. If your website is down, you could be losing business. And we get notifications if a site goes down, and then we go and we take a look
Mm-hmm.
and get it back up and running. Hmm?
Checking forms.
Yeah,
Usually
they
This
work.
you.
notorious for not working.
Yes, just like randomly breaking.
Yeah. And it came in handy when reCAPTCHA was being strained because whatever other changes were happening then with Google with that. And we moved everything, I think, to Turnstile
Mm-hmm.
software option, which was like so much more simple than setting up any other one. So I was glad that we had him to help with that. But that's, one thing that's not something we're clicking. You can't click buttons to test a form, and then if it doesn't work, you have to figure out why it works. You need somebody to troubleshoot it.
There's a whole follow-up when you're testing forms. If they don't respond within 24 to 48 hours, we're pestering. Like, did you get this? No? Oh, there's a problem.
The email part of it too. That's also something.
Oh yeah.
Why are they getting my, email? I sent you a form. Why didn't you get it? Yeah, maybe we should talk to we should have a little chat with one person who is also our client, but is also a great IT company. Cal PCC,
Sure. Yeah.
right? The email part of stuff, I don't think is a common thing that you would like if you don't know much about websites or email. Why would that be the first thing you would go to? Like, oh yeah, I need to like set up a custom couple of records, like in my DNS zone. Like that's not something a client is thinking about.
Yeah, but sometimes they do make a change or update and then things break, right?
Yeah.
And then they're emailing us like, hey, I broke this thing. Can you fix it?
Yeah. Or don't know why it's broken.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They might even go a while with not realizing. Like if they are managing, if somebody's managing records and are not really 100% sure what something's for, could maybe it's transferred somewhere else and it didn't make the cut to the new place or whatever. It can get confusing, even for us.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff is stressful.
Super.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like dealing with or troubleshooting that stuff.
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities for why things are not working. Yeah.
Yep.
But to go back to the button pushing for a second, I also want to point out that we push that button once a week.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it weekly, not just once a month or once a quarter or whatever. Like we're doing it all the time to make sure we stay on top of those vulnerabilities and those updates that make sure your site is compliant.
Yeah. I mean, I know at least Heather and I have had something come up at least once a week after all of those updates are made, where there's a question like, hey, someone has this theme and the license key is missing. We need to, so I mean, there's some extra stuff too that like even happens after that every week, where we're talking throughout the week and trying to figure out like, okay, like, does the client have a license key? Like, do we need to get a new one? Sometimes it depends on the theme too, but sometimes I notice that if we have a staging site too, like for the website, and it has a theme, it like will steal the like credit for and then you have to like to put it back and then it gets confused. So there's like that kind of stuff too, where like you know, the experience of going through like those common and not so common like troubleshooting things are really helpful when it comes to like stuff that comes up. You know, you're not racking your brain or Googling something or, you know, trying to ask somebody to fix it and they don't even know what you're talking about, like that kind of thing. It's just nice to have it all happen behind the scenes when it feels like we're doing is clicking a button because nobody ever knows anything, but it's peace of mind. I mean,
It's like the good plumbing analogy. If your plumbing is working, you never notice it. And you can flush that toilet and walk away.
Yeah.
It's also kind of like when you have a cold and you're like, damn it, I hate being sick. And then you think about how like I never think about it when I'm healthy and appreciate that I'm sitting here being healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the negative brain beans. I call them negative brain beans. I don't know if like you've ever seen, you know, kids' toys for the beach, you know, for sifting sand, and then like you can, or like if you're looking for gold, I don't know what, like there's like the little nets or like a basket you can sit. That's in here, and that you only remember the things like, oh, I remember when like there was a shit explosion from my bad plumbing error or issue, which has happened in my house. I will never forget it. But maybe after like, excuse me, the like fourth time that it happened, I can appreciate when it's not happening. Old house, old website. I don't know. Maybe there's some similarities there for sure.
Yeah. I also just remembered something that happened to my husband recently. He lost his domain that he had for 25 years
Oh no.
because he had renewed it for 10 years. And of course, the credit card that had renewed it would expire in that time twice.
Oh.
Yes. And he got notifications, but they went into his spam folder.
Oh no.
So he didn't see them or catch them. And now the domain belongs to somebody else who is asking for some huge price.
No.
Yeah. So other kind of offshoot benefits of working with us for maintenance is if you let us manage your domain name, you're not going to lose it.
Yeah. There are a couple of times though, it's like the occasional person that doesn't have it set to auto renew, but like most people have their domain set to auto renew. But then the problem is what you just described is like their credit card is expired or they've been notified, but it went to spam, or they just don't check their email often enough, or it's something they can just scroll by. But I think especially now we have some stuff in place that will let us know. I know in another spot too, like where we manage care plans, we have like if we built the site, a lot of times we'll figure out when their domain renews or expires and just kind of make a note of it. That actually reminds me to check on my own. I don't have any websites, but I have this like weird hobby where I just like to buy domain names that don't mean anything to anyone but me.
Yeah, I know. I
Spaghetti Ninja.
Spaghetti Ninja, is that what you said?
Spaghetti.ninja, yeah, Spaghetti Ninja.
Nice.
Like someday, those are like my someday I'll do something with those things. There's another domain I bought, but I won't say what it is because I can't say. Like a recent one that I just bought that's sort of a joke. And I'm like, someone might pay me a good amount of money for this someday.
No, which is another thing that we have with our maintenance plans.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I don't know if we should like end this or like have an ending.
Yeah, how do we sign off?
Bye.
See ya.
Well, thanks for stopping by for our really random ass conversation.
I'm gonna Mr. Rogers this and put on a sweater and head out.